Season 19, serial number 1, story number 116 overall. It is, of course, Castrovalva. Welcome to Season 19, 1982.
What does Castrovalva even mean?
What does it mean? It's written by script editor Christopher H. Bidmead, directed by Fiona Cumming, and produced by John Nathan Turner. Castrovalva, do you?
Yeah.
The end of the New Beginnings or Master Trilogy. What happens in Castrovalva?
Well, castle things mostly. And then also we just jump straight in. There's no intro for some reason because the doctor's dying, remember? Because he's regenerating as the new doctor. And then we get the intro. Because we gotta remember that that's a thing. And then there's alarm that goes off with the TARDIS and everyone is running and followed by the cops still. The original cops from like the previous episode. Then they fall in the grass and the cops catch up and everyone is arrested. And the car is going wee-woo over here to arrest him. Tegan does notice that the keys are in the ambulance, by the way, for the doctor. So she's like, Math basically tries to explain what's actually E-Space and shit, because that's gonna work. Tegan steals a car, leaves Math, but then they're like, we can't leave Adric! And the doctor's like, just leave the TARDIS, leaves into the TARDIS to go deeper, while Math, again, tries to explain the Master just kind of fucking appears, like his TARDIS, his pillar, and he knocks everybody out with, like, weird shockwaves, and then he just kind of leaves. Whoops. And then the Master's TARDIS shows up again for a bit, but then leaves again. Math has done a good TARDIS takeoff, and Tegan is like, I don't understand the fucking science. And then Math goes to check on the doctor, which leads him to the doctor unraveling his entire scarf and goes, I'm the doctor, I think. And the girls are lesbians, by the way. The doctor is talking about shit and needing to find the Zero Room. He's using string to make a path because he's crazy. And the regeneration isn't going smoothly as he would like. He also is like leaving his clothes behind and ripping parts of it off. Princess is in the TARDIS, and she's like, it's gonna eventually crash. And Tegan is like, rabbits! And then they want to go find the doctor, but then they notice the TARDIS is ready for information, apparently. And the doctor is in his mental breakdown state, and the lesbians are looking for the index file. The regeneration is apparently failing, so that's not great, because he's having flashbacks to all his previous partners on the TARDIS. And apparently the TARDIS is going to Event 1. What is Event 1? Weird. But then the doctor remembers Math's name. The new doctor doesn't like recorders, but he does in fact like cricket bats. And he's found a room of cricket things. So he dresses for cricket, and he feels good, I guess. But then something is happening in the TARDIS. And we're still having a fucking breakdown. And he explains that the Zero Room looks like a purple-pink room. And they're like, oh, is it this one right here? And they're like, yeah. And it smells like roses, and it's nice. And apparently it's a lead box, so he can just do nothing and just do nothing. And he's tired, and he needs a moment to, like, sleep. And they're like, but there's no bed. And he's like, don't worry about it. And he just levitates to horizontal. And the lesbians are in charge now. Math is going to be the navigator. By the way, Math is up in the ceiling and saying the Master set a trap, and he's the trap, and he's locked the coordinates to Event 1. Oh, no.
No.
This is an illusion. Don't listen to this person trying to climb up here. We need to change the chords, bro. And Math is in the doctor's TARDIS and is knocked out, and we can tell... the doctor, we can't tell the doctor he's unstable, right? Or he's in the Master's TARDIS, and we can't tell the doctor about him because he's unstable. The doctor's unstable. That's what we got. And then for some reason, the TARDIS is actually kind of bleeding. It's not just lipstick. It's, I don't know. And then Tegan wakes the doctor by accident, and we hear the catastrophe bell go off, and we run off for the console room. He collapses immediately, and Tegan drags him back and runs for the console room, and the entire TARDIS is heating up, which is not good. There's smoke everywhere. And the doctor is also, by the way, trying to crawl his way here, and they're like, oh my god, the entire thing of Event 1 is helium. I know where we're going. We're going for the Big Bang. Oh no, the first event in the universe. And the Master's just like, haha, bye bye. So,
bye bye, bitch.
Bye.
Bye bye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Hello, goodbye. You will say goodbye now. You're no longer going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye.
Mm.
So, Castrovalva, it's a story that initially was meant to be another story from someone else called codenamed Project 4G, because it was going to be made in the production block, the fourth production block, but it got rewritten and rewritten and rewritten and fell apart. It broke. So Bidmead came up with this, and his outline was entitled The Visitor, but his full scripts were not outlined. So he sold his pitch to J&T, the story was commissioned, and then it slowly became this. And as with the previous two stories, this one follows a theme as well. The first one follows sort of a rough theme of like corruption and such, the Keeper of Traken. The second one, much more overtly, Logopolis, follows a theme of entropy. This one, Castrovalva, follows a theme of recursion, and loops, recursive loops specifically, because he was fascinated by the idea of them and wanted to write something about it, which is where we get, a whole heap of shit in the story, which makes a lot more sense when you start to think about it. They were wanting more sort of Lewis Carroll style ideas, sort of like fantasy, but like scared the kids, but came with its own sort of sense of discovery, like you were a character in someone else's story type thing. That's sort of like real narrative depth, which is why you get this story where characters realize that they are just that. They are characters within a story, which is kind of terrifying. Also, this is the early 80s. Sort of logic puzzles and visual riddles were sort of really hip at the time. It was the age of the Rubik's Cube, for example. Anything with odd angles was in vogue, and by the middle of the decade, Escher's works were everywhere, proving especially popular with the kind of people who owned home computers. So we have artists like MC
MC
Escher. Yeah, I was saying MC Escher, I was like, I just imagined MC Escher. I was like, that's dumb. Which, as you can tell, if you know anything about MC Escher, was kind of a very big influence on this story. MC Escher was an early 20th century Dutch artist who specialized in illustrating the impossible. His works are full of twisted geometry and recursive architecture, with buildings folding in on themselves and tricks of perspective being used to create entire landscapes. Fun fact, there is an Escher illustration called Castrovalva as well, which is a high-towered town like the episode, with almost a town, because it's named after a town in Italy called Castrovalva. In the 80s context, it's probably best known for that scene in Labyrinth where they walk down the stairs. Like, the multiple stairs that make no sense is the best sort of remembrance. But yeah, that's part one of Castrovalva. What happens in part two, dear?
Well, they're like, I fucking hate the Master. So the princess shuts the TV off, and that's all they can do, because that's all they can do. And Tegan's like, we should learn to fly the TARDIS, and also, like, fix this. And then the doctor's crawling, and a first aid kit opens and falls on him, and then a wheelchair rolls up to him, like, hey. And
hey.
Math is like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Come over here where I can fucking get at you. You fucking masterpiece of shit. And the doctor is now in a wheelchair and makes his way back to the TARDIS console. The temperature is fucking with the TARDIS controls. So the doctor's like, holy shit, I'm here to help. And also the temperature, I guess, kind of helps me. The doctor explains how to fix everything, and his manic state is going to come back. So he's doing this as fast as he can. So the princess pulls off one of the checkers on the wall and turns the dial to Wombo, so now it's all on manual. And we have to get the console functions restored, and the Wombo turned blue, so that's the thing, and they want to delete rooms and change it around here, so it'd give them some thrust, because if they delete a room, it makes thrust. Math, by the way, it makes a comment, and the master just slowly comes up on an apple picker.
It's so funny. It takes like 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's like a fucking apple picker. Like, he literally is like, okay, now we're talking. He's like, you're useful. And the doctor is having trouble again, and they need to remove 25% of the TARDIS. And the doctor's struggling, and they're like, wait, we need to make sure to not jettison the console room. And the doctor's like, hey, do you want to join me? Or just be like, utility or what? The master, just work with me. And Math goes, all right, what do I do? And Tegan is terrified. And she's like, I'm gonna fuck it up. And Princess is like, no, you won't. And she's like, okay. Math, by the way, is like, okay, I guess I'll join you if you keep your side of this bargain that we're making, and is doing something on his own that won't work for the master, and then the TARDIS is still okay, I guess, maybe. So we should go to a place that's super simple, like Castrovalva, and he uses Math something to peek into the TARDIS, and we push the doctor towards the zero room because everything's fixed now, right? Because they jettisoned a room, and and Tegan is trying her best to fly the TARDIS where it needs to go, and they're like, bad news, we jettisoned the zero room. So we give Princess the sonic screwdriver to open something, but the zero room doesn't exist. So, like, what are we doing? I don't get it. And the TARDIS lands, and it also lands sideways, and everyone falls over. And the doctor's like, yeah, we're gonna make another zero room out of the remaining parts of the zero room. And he basically makes a coffin. So,
yep.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Pretty cool.
He gets in the coffin, and they carry him outside, and Tegan's like, look, I found the city, and we have to carry the doctor here. So they put the box on the wheelchair, and they push it. But on the way there, the wheelchair rolls all the way down into the river, and she's like, oh, fuck, okay, fuck, fine. And Princess goes, okay, let me try to fix it, and see if I can't get it to work. And someone is watching from the bushes, and the lesbians are just like, oh my god, fine, I can't fix it, let's just carry him. And the doctor just keeps losing his concentration, so it randomly gets heavy, and they need to take a break occasionally. But then just over the horizon, they see a castle. So let's hide the doctor's box, and then just head there. And then the people in feathery mask things are still watching, and it kind of slinks away, but others come by and go, see, he must be told. And then the doctor's coffin opens slightly, and he's like, And the lesbians are gone and climbing the rocks now up to the castle. But when they go back to the doctor to check on him, he's gone. The box is empty, and there's blood. There's blood, Gam. It's not good. There's blood.
Oh, God, there's blood.
Oh, God.
So, in part 2, Tegan was scripted to drink from the stream of water that they were near, while Nyssa attempted to repair the wheelchair. The scene was dropped from shooting schedule over fears that younger children might imitate it, however. But also in the 2018 making-of documentary that they made for the Blu-ray release, Janet Fielding, who played Tegan, revealed that she refused to shoot the scene as scripted at all, even if they did go ahead with it, because her father was a parasitologist, and she knew full well what could be lurking in the river water, of like, if you just drink river water, like, unfiltered, there are so many parasites and bacteria in there that could fuck you up. It is not healthy. Don't do it.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you're... Okay, let's clarify. If you're in a life or death situation, that's one thing. Just don't do it casually. Just maybe don't.
Yeah. Another thing as well. Across this part 2 as well, Nissa's costume gradually transforms into the sort of standard outfit that she's going to wear for the rest of the season. She gets rid of that fairy skirt that she gets rid of that she was wearing in the last 2 episodes and replaces it with a pair of trousers that are like velvet trousers. Because the scene where she chases after the wheelchair would look really weird if she was in a skirt like that. Along the way, between traveling, she abandons her velvet jacket, and then she finally tosses her ornamental hair comb when it gets caught by a tree branch. By the time she and Tegan reach the base of the cliff, she is more or less outfitted the same way she will be for the remainder of the season. That was mainly done behind the scenes to make her outfit more practical for regular filming, because it would be pretty fucking hard to keep doing walking around doing stunts and shit in a costume like she was doing. Also, the decision to have the Doctor impersonate his previous incarnations was made during rehearsal, when Peter Davison himself presented impersonations as part of preparation for taking on the role. His interpretation was intended to combine elements of past Doctors, which is odd considering the way he conducts himself as the Fifth Doctor. I wouldn't say he's really a combination of all of them. He's more like a reaction to all of them. He's a lot softer and more humane and less prone to outrage and ridicule. But he still does occasionally. But anyway, what happens in the next part, dear?
Well, they think the cabinet worked because that's the only reason he'd get up and walk around, but they need to find him. So let's follow the blood trail, which is always smart. And then while looking up at the castle, they get surrounded by the feather spear mask people again, and they run away. And the Doctor apparently has been rock climbing around, and his coffin got taken by the feather mask guys, and they also have the Doctor, and they drag him to their underground area, which is actually, like, nice. And the ladies look like beekeepers. But then a man that looks like the Pope comes down and goes, "What the fuck did you bring me?" But down here, they're spit roasting a pig and having a feast, and they still want to talk to the Doctor, and they're also cooking the pig. And the Pope dude is named Shardavan, and he's a librarian to Castrovalva. And the newest religion here is called exercise, where you go out and hunt all the animals. So, yeah, everybody here is actually pretty smart. We just kind of look like this. But then the hunters are all short from running, if you notice, says the Pope. And I'm tall, so I don't hunt because I'm not short. And it's a whole thing. Oh my god, my nose. Why is it itching? Help. Anyway, the Doctor is given a drink, and he's
fucking
like,
nose.
Fucking nose. The Doctor is given a drink and passes out and asks if he'll find the Doctor, and he says yes. And then he goes, "Wait, I'm the Doctor. Lol." And then the lesbians are climbing the rock again, and then a rope ladder is thrown down. But they are called crazy and sent off because men need to sleep, I guess. But then they're also shown the Doctor and told he'll be good by tomorrow. And the lesbians are being lesbians, and Princess is like, "I'm gonna let her sleep because it's the next day, and I'm gonna go get the coffin placed back into the room with the Doctor in the mirror." And she sees Adric behind her for a second. He's like, "Don't turn around!" And he tells her basically everything going on, and as soon as she turns around,
Don't turn around.
He's fucking zapped away, because of course he is. And the Doctor feels better. And maybe that message to Nissa was bullshit, we don't know. Everyone is at breakfast, and the girls just want to see the library, and the Doctor's like, "Ooh, a tapestry!" But also we see the girls in it for some reason. Apparently the tapestry just kind of changes and shows things that have happened in the order that they happened. So we see the girls having carried a coffin from yesterday. Yeah. The Doctor is having trouble remembering the name of math, and he's trying his best. And then the Doctor wanders around, and he still can't, remember how to count to 3. And a child comes up and goes, "3! 3 comes after 2, you fucking idiot. Even I know that." And he's like, "You're so good at counting, you deserve a badge to be a good boy." Wait a second! And he forgot about Adric, and he rushes off to the lesbians. They argue, and then they sort of talk about what happened, and then all of them want to leave, and no one really knows where to go, and everyone is running around, and the Pope stops them from running around, and he's like, "Oh god, I'm having a breakdown again." Back in their room, the Zero Cabinet's gone! So, this place is manipulated and potentially a space-time trap. Woohoo!
Uh-oh! Recursion again.
Yeah.
So, you actually mentioned this after we finished watching it, but you said, "Hey, it doesn't feel like we watched 4 episodes. Mainly because it wasn't, it wasn't rushed or slow, or there wasn't too much. It's actually pretty decently paced.
Mm-hmm.
But there's actually kind of another reason for it. When they changed for this season, they changed it so the release schedule was now, instead of Saturday nights, it was now twice during the week. So I don't know the specific days, but say a Monday and a Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
In an attempt, it sort of almost feels like the way they've structured this is the first 2 episodes are them on board the TARDIS, and you don't even really get a mention of Castrovalva until the second half of episode 2. And then episode 3 and 4 are about them on Castrovalva. So you have it's you have 2 episodes that are paired, so you'd watch them in 1 week, and then the next two week would be the conclusion. So there's a nice through line through it all. It almost feels like a deliberate attempt to get grips with the new schedule, sort of preventing viewers with a 2-part TARDIS story 1 week and then a 2-part planet story the next, in a way. It's no confirmation on this, but it kind of feels deliberate in that way. The serial-like approach is one of the reasons that some people have compared this period in the program's history with a soap opera, because of the way the episodes flow in with each other. I don't agree. I wouldn't really call this a soap opera. I mean, you could if you want, but I really wouldn't. I don't think it's like that at all. But another thing as well, there were more influences once again under our noses. This era saw people watching old episodes of Doctor Who because it was coming on VHS as well as they were being repeated. This is kind of a retread of the first episode you hated, The Edge of Destruction. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
The one where they were on board the TARDIS and it was just them going insane for no reason?
Yeah.
Then also, you have kind of that in the first 2 episodes, but it actually makes sense, and it's not them going crazy, it's them trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. Then you also have, The Mind Robber, where, a location whose logic doesn't make any sense. There's also a future episode coming up that's a culture rejecting technology in favor of a safer lifestyle. Also, it's very, very 80s, to put it lightly. This is where Doctor Who is starting to get a little bit more 80s in its approach and visual style. We have the sort of rose-tinted pink light. We have the costumes being the way they are. It gets quite a way through there. Also, I want to say, Peter Davison supposedly liked the story's complexity, but he had no fucking clue what it was about. He's just I like it. I don't understand it, but I like it. Which, bless him. It's a shame he's no longer on Twitter, because his fucking tweets are hilarious. One of my favorite things he got his daughter to post on Twitter was so fun fact, if you didn't know, Peter Davison, the 5th Doctor's son-in-law, is David Tennant, the 10th Doctor. It gets more confusing, but leave it at that for now. He was at a convention where David Tennant was also there, I believe, and David Tennant's line was out the fucking door, so he just stood in front of it, just pointing at him, just going his line's fucking massive and not mine's tiny. This is bullshit. Fuck this guy.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lovely jokes together. But yes, what happens in... Oh, also, another Peter Davison thing real quick. In the scene that required him to eat a piece of celery, he immediately spat it out on the first take because he fucking hates celery. So he ate it and then immediately just spat it out. Was oh, no, don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, what happened in the final episode, dear?
Well, the Doctor's okay, but they need to figure out what's going on and find the Zero Cabinet. The girls are headed to talk to the poetry, apparently, and might not make it there because they don't know where the fuck they're going. And the Doctor has a book, and it has a loose piece of paper in it for some weird reason. And even when they're led around, they assume everyone is in on it together, and there's this telescope that lets them watch the Pope, and also ladies washing clothing, but it's in the oh, that's where the coffin is. The Doctor has brought more books to learn about the history, and it makes sense to everybody but the Doctor. And he's given another drink and decides to not drink it, and makes the guy draw a square and then a map within the square, and he's like, look, draw a map. Thank you. And then the Pope totally took the coffin. It's totally a conspiracy, and want to head back to the doctor quickly. The medical doctor's like, look, here's my pharmacy here, and then also here, and here, and wait, and here. He also has a mental breakdown. And then they bring the coffin back in the room, and Tegan is very upset. And another guy comes in and goes, listen, the house is here, and oh god. And the doctor thinks that all the books are forgeries of their history and something that they're overlooking. The Pope maybe made this history up and maybe wanted to hide something? And the pharmacist comes outside to tell the beehives to fuck off because they're loud. And they just, want to carry the doctor down to the library, but the Pope shows up and it's like, I'll help you. And then they both just glare at him, and he's like, excuse me, I'm responsible for him, get the fuck away. And they continue to carry the doctor to the library inside the coffin. But surprise, the doctor isn't actually in the coffin. He's assaulting the Pope with questions, and he's trying so hard to have trouble remembering what he was getting at. But they chronologically lead to present day, the history books. How is that doable? And then the portrait is asked for help, and the doctor's like, nah, listen to the tapestry. Tapestry holds the entire universe. And he stands up and goes, well, here's the thing. I'm the master. Haha. And then they're like, oh! And then the glass crashes, and we just kind of ignore it and send someone to check. The master is absolutely trying his fucking best to get the coffin open now, because he's like, I want to see the doctor's face. But they're like, oh god, if you look at the tapestry right now, you would know that the doctor is free. And some people say, you're not the portrait, bro. And he goes, wait, what? And then we're trying to, distract him. And he's like, where's the doctor? This is bullshit. I'm coming after you. And then the tapestry shows that Adric is in trouble. And tearing it down, we find Adric behind it. And the master's like, I'm just going to kill everyone here because I can. And then the Pope grabs the chandelier and crashes into the web with Adric in it and breaks it, fixing everything, apparently. Swing. And then he's a bard. And then the master goes into the fireplace and closes the grate. It's his TARDIS, I guess. And the space is going to fold up into on itself. So they got to go. Adric created it, so he knows which way to go, but then they all run. And then he's like, ah! And then the pharmacist attacks the master along the way, because apparently after a bit, Adric couldn't see, and then the pharmacist could see, and then the pharmacist attacks the master and sacrifices himself. And the beehive ladies help, and everyone just kind of jogs out of the cave nonchalantly, and they watch the cave close, and I guess everyone inside is dead and doesn't matter. Anyway, we're gonna go back to TARDIS and have a nice time and exercise. There were no instructions on how to fly the TARDIS, and it was a projection, so, how did you fly it? Okay, everybody climb in, I guess.
So real quick, the Portreeve is listed in the credits as being played by Neil Toynay, which is an anagram of Tony Ainley, which is the Anthony Ainley, the actor who plays the Master. It plays on the Master's habit of using either anagrams or synonyms for Master as aliases. Mm-hmm. Used here to use the reveal of the Portreeve's identity as surprise. Although, however, if you're watching in Blu-ray quality and you are familiar with Anthony Ainley's face, it is super fucking obvious that he is the Master. DVD quality, it's not that, it's pretty hard to see. Blu-ray quality, it is really easy to see. Like, if you have any inkling of, like, is that the Master? Oh my god, it is the Master. Like, you'll know immediately. Which I thought was funny. I was watching the whole episode being like, I sure hope Deer doesn't notice that he looks a lot like the Master.
For multiple reasons. So no.
Also, in the final scene, the script called for Adric to be pallid, as he was still recovering from the effects of the imprisonment by the Master. According to the commentary in the DVD, this was accidentally achieved by Matthew Waterhouse himself, who played Adric, who had a hangover from the night previous from drinking too much Campari. Whilst the cameras were filming the Doctor and Tegan in conversation about who landed the TARDIS at the end, Matthew Waterhouse was being sick behind a tree.
Oh.
So in that final scene where the Doctor's like, who landed the TARDIS? And Tegan's like, I did. Adric's fucking vomiting behind a tree. It's great.
Oh. How old is he when we're doing this? And how old is he supposed to be?
He was very young. He was born 1961, so he would have been 20 years old.
Okay, but how old
22 years old.
Is he playing like a 20-year-old?
Oh no, Adric's meant to be like 16.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he's like a child.
Yeah, he's meant to be like a child, a teenager. Actually, does he have an actual age? I'll see if he has an actual age.
He has an E-space age.
E-space age. The age of consent in E-space is different.
Yes. Sorry, in space age.
In space, yeah. Apparently, well, all I know is he was definitely older than 12. I think he's meant to be around 16, 17 when he joins the TARDIS. But yeah, that there is the episode known as Castrovalva. The 5th Doctor his tenure has begun. What did you think of Castrovalva, dear?
So, what Doctor is this?
The 5th Doctor.
Congratulations,
also,
I
yes,
gave it a 5.
Oh, I get it. That's funny. Also, we kind of joked about Tegan and Nyssa being lesbians. They are kind of the most common pairing to see them as lesbians within the quote fandom or whatever. Plus, their designated character traits are meant to be polar opposites, so it's like they fit together really well. So it's like they unintentionally made lesbians. There is one episode in the classic series that is meant to be overtly that the writer has gone on record saying, "Oh yeah, I absolutely wrote lesbian undertones in this because, you know, I wanted to write it. I thought this character was coded a lesbian." You're not going to get to it for a while, but you might understand the lesbian undertones when we get to it. But that's Castrovalva. Dear thought it was okay to pretty decent. I'll take that. I do love Castrovalva. I love the soundtrack of it. It's such a nice, calming soundtrack. The next episode, dear. Blank to Doomsday.
Countdown.
Close. Very close. And by close, I mean it's not the word countdown. But you are...
Sorry. Cats does countdown.
Yeah, Cats does countdown. You're close to think of a countdown.
One
more guess and I'll give you a clue.
Seconds?
Close. It's a number.
Now,
what could the number be?
how is it a number? There's no 3s, like 2s, like 1s, like 10s? I don't know.
4 to Doomsday.
That's grammatically... That's... I hate it.
Why is it called 4 to Doomsday? Why does Dear hate it? Is there any reason why it's called 4 to Doomsday? Maybe!
Why is it not 4 seconds to Doomsday? Why is it not 4 days to Doomsday? Why is it not 4...
Because I believe it's meant to be a play on, like, 4 tickets to Doomsday, because there's 4 of them in the TARDIS.
Okay.
4 to Doomsday, please.
Okay.
Like, that sort of thing. I could be wrong.
Then why don't you say 4 passes to Doomsday, then?
Well, because that's not what the episode's about.
Well, fuck you.
Well, we'll watch it anyway.
Okay.
4 to Doomsday. I hope you like toads and, cultures of the world.
Woo.
Anything else you want to add, dear?
Is it going to be racist?
That's a loaded question.
We'll get to that. Anyway, bye.
Bye.